Today I'm going to show you guys 3 ways to film your next video, but in order to do these, you're going to need a camera. Not that one. An actual camera. However, you can use these methods on a phone, but I highly recommend trying them on a camera instead. Okay, let's get started. The first up is, of course, the tried and true, the ultimate classic, the handheld. This is by far the most popular, not even for its look, but for how little you need to know and have equipment-wise to make it happen. But there's some tips I'm gonna show you to get the best effect from this kind of method. All right, so grab your camera, and no, it doesn't matter what kind of camera you have, and no, you don't need a cage or anything fancy. Honestly, the least amount of bulk on your camera, the better. Just make sure it's comfortable to hold. Next, just film. Now, when you're filming, remember that if you're walking, you're going to want to soften the jitters of your footsteps. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try your best to walk smoothly and keep your camera sort of close to your chest, because the further out you hold it, the more jittery it'll be. Now, when should you use the handheld? My recommendation is to use this method when you're emphasizing energy, intensity, and intimacy. Not that kind of intimacy. Handheld shots are best used to give the audience the feeling that they themselves are there in the action. Imagine your favorite action movie or a found footage movie. Handheld shots give your footage that real life feeling. You'll actually often see VFX artists add post camera shake in their VFX shots to ground the camera and the audience in the scene to make it feel more real. Try it out. It's the easiest method of filming, and with some practice, you can get a really nice effect. One other thing to remember is that your focal length will drastically affect the intensity that this effect will have in the end. Tighter focal length like 50mm, assuming you're on full frame, will be more intense and closer to the action for a more amplified feeling, while a wider focal length like a 35mm or wider will be more dreamy. Use the wider focal length for your dreamlike shots where you want it to feel natural but not shaky or intense. Like, think about, like, if you're filming for a wedding, for example, you probably don't want that to look like an action movie. I mean, maybe you do, I don't know, but typically for, like weddings and things like that, where you kind of want that nice flow, that sway kind of feeling to it, that's when you want to use a little bit wider and handheld. It kind of gives it a nice, very natural feeling. Super nice. Okay, next is the gimbal method. Most of you probably know what a gimbal is, and if you don't, you've definitely seen one, especially if you've seen me at events, as it's my go-to shot method. Now, of course, for this kind of shot, you're gonna need a gimbal. However, for my phone people out there, you've probably seen gimbals for phones. You know, the ones that they do in TikTok in the mirror, and they're like, ooh, wow, this is really cool and fancy. It's just a gimbal, dude. It works exactly the same. Now, the gimbal shot is used for a more detached shot. This is a kind of shot you use where the subject is purely the focus. The goal isn't to be immersive as much as it's about capturing the subject in as much detail as possible. This is why gimbal shots are used for B-roll of products, which is my specialty, or really detailed shots of talent, etc. The gimbal is designed to help do the opposite of the handheld method. It's designed to remove camera shake during the filming process, not add it in. Gimbal shots are also super useful for automotive shoots, as you can easily mount your camera outside on a chase car without having to worry about bumps or rough roads ruining your clean, smooth shots. I recommend the gimbal shot for when you're really going for that clean, modern look, where you're not trying to make the audience feel like they are in the shot, but more so focusing on the subject you're shooting. And just like the handheld, the lens you use and the focal length will get you different effects. I personally shoot really tight because on a gimbal, you have a much easier time moving around freely while also getting that super close viewpoint that personally, I like the most. That, and when shooting super wide, you naturally get less camera shake. So if you're gonna shoot wider than 35mm, then you probably don't need a gimbal, since your shot will likely already be super stable, especially if your camera has IBIS, which, if you didn't know, is in-body image stabilization. Even some phones these days have IBIS, like the iPhone 14 Pro. Generally speaking, the gimbal shot is probably one of the more popular methods for filming for individuals or small film groups. However, gimbals can be pretty expensive. I personally like using the Ronin from DJI, but there are plenty of other options that are a bit cheaper, like those from Zhiyun. Actually, I did a review of the Zhiyun Crane 2S not too long ago, so you should definitely check that out somewhere up here. And finally, put this away. And finally, we have the shoulder mounted method. Now, this one is a bit newer to me, but in my short amount of experience with it firsthand, the shoulder shot is best if you're going for a broadcast look. That or like a reality TV look. It works great for long periods of shooting, as holding your camera on a gimbal or handheld for more than 30 minutes at a time can be a bit tiring and can lead to shaky shots, whereas the shoulder rig lets you rest the weight of your setup on your shoulder. This means you can hook up bigger lenses, an HDMI transmitter, a monitor, a bigger V-mount battery, and even a matte box without having to worry about tiring yourself out so quickly. If you're shooting alone, I personally don't recommend the shoulder rig, but if you're following your subject around all day or for more than 30 minutes at a time and need to capture audio and or have a director be able to monitor your shots off to the side, then the shoulder rig is definitely the go-to. In terms of the shot itself, as I mentioned, it's very broadcast feeling, meaning it'll look like you're filming for a TV show or a live broadcast, mainly because that's how camera operators for sports, news, and live streams tend to hold their cameras, which is why when we see it, our minds immediately go, oh, it's like a sports broadcast or the news or something. But you can certainly play that into your advantage if that's the look you're going for. Unfortunately, the shoulder rig can be a very expensive way to film, especially once you start adding all the extra bits. Not to mention that the shoulder rig is also a better fit for people using much larger cameras that normally require two hands to hold. That's not to say you can't use a mirrorless camera like the FX3 or something like this XT4, but let's be honest, a mirrorless camera without any add-on bits looks awfully silly on your shoulder. I mean, come on, look at this. Could you imagine just like me like trying to hold this less than 3-pound camera on my shoulder? You know, it just looks silly. Don't do that, it's weird. So that's 3 ways to film your videos. Of course, there are plenty of other ways, but those are the 3 that I mainly come across. And did you guys like this kind of video? I know it's a little shorter than normal and a little different than what I normally do, but do you guys like this kind of thing? Like, do you want to see more of this? If you do, make sure to like this video, and as always, make sure to subscribe to see more content, obviously, like this. You can also follow me on Twitter and Twitch to stay up to date on all things 24 Concept, and until then, I'll see you in the next one. Peace. You know, today's my birthday, guys. I almost said chat like I'm streaming. Today's my birthday, dude. I'm 28 years old today. I'm old, kind of. In some sense of the word, I am old. Man, I have a 7 a.m. flight tomorrow. I'm probably gonna be editing this video on a plane. Probably not, because I'm super lazy. Maybe I'll edit it in the airport. I'm only flying to Austin though. I'm not going that far. We'll see. I don't know when this video is gonna go up. Hopefully, because I don't come home. I'll be gone from tomorrow, Sunday. I'll be gone from Sunday to Thursday or Friday. I think I come back Friday. So like, probably gonna, if I can get it edited in time, I'm probably gonna try to have this video go out on like Wednesday or Thursday, if it works out. But you know, we don't know. Okay. All right. Peace.